Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Hairil.
I am Anis.
And I am Aina.
In this video, we are going to talk about translation. Hi everyone, have you ever wondered how the food that you eat every day being digested in your mouth? It is because your saliva. When you begin chewing, glands in your mouth and throat will start to secrete saliva. But why saliva, right? Okay, saliva contains a special enzyme which is called amylase. But how amylase or enzyme can be there? In genetic information, DNA will flow to become RNA, and then from RNA it will become a protein. This concept is what we call central dogma. In central dogma, there is two main stages that you need to remember, which is transcription and translation. Today, we are talking about translation. Before diving deep into this topic, it is a must for you as a student to know what translation means. Translation is a process of translation genetic information of mRNA into a sequences of amino acids in a polypeptide chain during protein synthesis. Translation consists of three phases that you need to know, which is initiation, elongation, and termination. Okay, but you will be more enlightened about this from my colleague. Before I left, you need to know that translation only occurs in cytoplasm. That's all from me.
Hello everyone. Before we move on to the translation process, let me introduce to you the three components involved in the translation process. The three components involved in the translation process is mRNA, rRNA, and tRNA. First of all, let's talk about mRNA. mRNA is a single-strand RNA that carries genetic information transcribed from DNA in the nucleus to ribosome for the translation process. The direction of mRNA strand is from 3' end to 5' end. Now let's move to rRNA. rRNA or ribosomal RNA play the critics and structural roles in ribosome and assist in protein synthesis. rRNA combine with protein to form ribosome of two subunits, which is small subunit and large subunit. Small subunit contain mRNA binding site, while large subunit contain A site, P site, and B site. A site or amino acid tRNA binding site is a site where the amino acid tRNA complex is attached. B site or peptide tRNA binding site is a site where the synthesis of polypeptide begins. B site is a site where the tRNA exits the ribosome. The last component is tRNA. For your information, the three shapes of tRNA are held by hydrogen bond between complementary bases. The middle loop contains three bases called anticodon, which are complementary to the codon for the amino acid it carries. Anticodon is a base triplet that carries one specific amino acid. One end of the chain with base sequence 5' CCA 3' ending is where the amino acid is attached. So this is the example of genetic code. That's all about the three components needed for the translation process. Did you know that there is something you need to know before we start the translation process, which is the requirement repeat for the translation? The amino acid actuation is required before the translation process started. Do you know what is amino acid actuation is? Let me tell you about it. Amino acid activation is a process of attachment of amino acid to 3' end of specific tRNA. It was catalyzed by the amino acid tRNA synthetase enzyme. The amino acid tRNA synthetase catalyzes the formation of covalent bond between tRNA and amino acid, forming amino acid tRNA. By the way, this process is driven by hydrolysis of NP. After the amino acid activation
to translation process. In the process of translation, you need to know initiation, elongation, and termination. The first stage of translation process is initiation. Initiation is the process where the small ribosome subunit binds to the mRNA at the AUG start codon. After the mRNA has bound to the small ribosome subunit, an initiation tRNA molecule unites and binds to a specific codon sequence, the start codon AUG on the same mRNA molecule. This followed by the arrival of the large ribosome subunit to complete the initiation. The initiation tRNA sites bind to the P sites of ribosome, and now the vector of A site in ribosome is ready for the next amino acid tRNA. Next, we proceed to the second stage of translation, that is elongation. Elongation stage involves a 3-step cycle that are codon recognition, peptide bond formation, and translocation. In codon recognition, after the first amino acid tRNA complementary to the initiation codon AUG in the P site, another amino acid tRNA will then pair with the codon addition to the start codon and occupy the A site that have amino acid. Then we move to peptide bond formation. The first amino acid in the polypeptide is detached from its tRNA in the P site and detached to the amino acid that carried by the tRNA in the A site. Bacterial transferase enzyme located in the large ribosome subunit catalyze the formation of a peptide bond between the polypeptide extending from the P site and newly arrived amino acid in the A site. Next, the last stage involved in elongation is translocation. As the ribosome moves one codon in 5' to 3' direction, tRNA in the P site shift to the E site and dissociate from the ribosome. The amino acid tRNA in the A site attached to the growing polypeptide that translate to the E site. As the tRNA changes site, the anticodon remain hydrogen bound to the mRNA codon and allow the mRNA and tRNA molecule to move as a unit. This movement in turn bring the next codon to be translated into the A site. tRNA with specific amino acid bind to A site. Elongation is repeated as amino acid is added to the change until the polypeptide is complete. Then, the final stage of translation is termination. Termination explains that when the ribosome reach the stop codon, which are UAA, UGA, and UAG, in the mRNA, a release factor, a protein shaped like an amino acid tRNA, binds directly to the stop codon in the A site. The release factor hydrolyzes the bond between the last tRNA at the P site and the polypeptide. This results in the release of the last amino acid of the polypeptide from the tRNA in the P site.
To conclude, the translation consists of 3 stages that are initiation, elongation, and termination. That's all about translation process. Thank you.
What can we say? 매번 아파도 외치는 love. 다치고 망가져도 나 뭘 믿고 버티는 거야. 어차피 떠나면 상처 조성인 채로 미워하게 될걸. 끝장을 보기 전 끝낼 순 없어 이 아픔을 기다려.